Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dal. Double legendaries have finally been added for the patch 9.2 PTR. If you were to hop on the testing realms right now, then you can buy your second legendary from the same vendor that sells you your tier set. For every class, it will be a belt item that contains the new power called Unity, which is a brand new legendary getting added in patch 9.2 that unlocks your Covenant legendary power for free and can be worn side by side with another class legendary of your choice. Some classes have ludicrous combos when it comes to utilizing their tier set and certain double legendaries to create some of the strongest and some of the silliest builds out there. This is the first time we're getting the double legendary feature added on the testing realms. It needs to be tested, needs to be buffed, and in some cases nerfed. But before Blizzard does any kind of tuning, I wanted to highlight some of the potentially strongest builds and of course some of the funniest builds right now on the patch 9.2 PTR. But right before that, most of you guys watching this videos are still not subscribed. However, the more of you remind, the more of you do, so let's keep it going. Subscribe to the channel as well as hit the bell if you enjoy videos like these, patch 9.2 updates, or potentially future WoW expansion announcements. The first class on this list will be Demon Hunter. Your Venthyr Covenant ability is Sinful Brand, which is a spell where you mark the enemy, causing them to be debuffed, being less effective in combat, but also doing a ton of dot damage to them over a short amount of time. The duration of this dot, however, can be changed. With a Venthyr legendary, you buff the output of the brand by 10% and cause it to get extended in duration when you use abilities like I-Beam or Fell Devastation. Combined together with another legendary, whenever you use I-Beam or Fell Devastation, you summon an allied Demon Hunter to blast your enemy with the opposite ability. Combining both of these legendaries together, you're using both the I-Beam and the allied Demon Hunter Fell Devastation to simultaneously extend the duration of your Sinful Brand in such a way where by the time I-Beam is back off of cooldown, Sinful Brand continues to tick, which lets you do the same thing all over again, re-extending its duration and keeping it rolling endlessly. There's two ways of applying Sinful Brand, one using the actual Covenant ability, the second using Metamorphosis. Upon metamorphosing into your demon form, you apply all nearby enemies with the Sinful Brand. Really makes you wonder just how strong this would be if this combination were to be added into the current WoW now. The next class is the Elemental Shaman Perma Lightning Elemental build. This, however, is an AoE focused build. It'll be very difficult to pull this off in pure single target scenario. We're going to use part of the tier set of the Elemental Shaman that focuses on extending the duration of your elemental, though instead of the Fire Elemental, we'll be using the Storm Elemental for the AoE. Storm melee comes with a buff. Every time you fire off a Lightning Bolt or a Chain Lightning, you get a buff where those spells cast faster by 3%. This effect can stack up to 20 times. In AoE, this gives you a playstyle where you spam and Chain Lightning super quickly, building up a lot of Maelstrom, dropping down Earthquakes left and right. Together with the Skybreaker's legendary, every time a Flame Shock tick crits, the cooldown of your Storm Ellie is reduced by 1 second. Together with your tier set that extends the duration of your Storm Ellie and the legendary that reduces the cooldown of Storm Ellie, you can get it to the point where your Storm Ellie is up 24/7, constantly retaining that Lightning Bolt and Chain Lightning speed cast buff, as long as you can get a bunch of Flame Shocks on your target. And when you play Venthyr Ellie Shaman, you get the Elemental Conduit Venthyr legendary, where using Chain Harvest on enemies will apply a Flame Shock on every single target. Just like the Skybreaker's Lego that gives you cooldown reduction for your Storm Ellie on Flame Shock crits, Elemental Conduit does the same for Chain Harvest, which gives you consistent Flame Shocks that you can put up as soon as they're gassed and lets you maintain and retain the Storm Ellie almost permanently. If you wanted to, you could replace the Storm Ellie with the Fire Ellie if you wanted to run Master of the Elements talent instead. The next build is the Warrior Almost Perma Execute Recklessness build. When you play a Fury Warrior, your best cooldown ability is Recklessness, which enrages the warrior, causing you to crit more, providing ton more rage generation, which is great for both damage and sustaining in rage buff, which gives you a substantial damage increase. If you play a Venthyr Warrior using the Venthyr ability of Condemn, Recklessness duration can be extended every time you condemn a target. Together with your tier set, every time you Raging Blow, there's a chance for you to either get Recklessness for 4 seconds or extend the duration of an existing Recklessness by 4 extra seconds. And if you play the Signet of Tormented King's legendary, every time you use Recklessness, Avatar, or Bladestorm, you have a chance to gain one of the other buffs as well. So if you use Recklessness and you gain Avatar with it, and then you follow that up with a Bladestorm, your Bladestorm has a chance to give you a Recklessness. but because you already have the buff running, it'll just add on to your current active recklessness. Combined together with a little bit of luck, you are able to get yourself a pretty beefy and a long uptime on recklessness, the duration that's extended with every single condemn and with every other raging blow. This works effectively when the enemy target is above 80% health or below 35, depending on how you talent. This is due to the limitations of the Venthyr Warrior ability, but when it works, Recklessness basically has an 100% uptime. And if you thought Fury Warrior already felt like such a spammy class that gave you Carpal Tunnel, you should try this build. This is going to be a whole new deal. Affliction Warlocks might have the strongest execute of any class in the game. For this build, we'll be doing everything we can to buff the damage output of Drained Soul and trying to use that inside of an execute window. Drained Soul already natively does this. Whenever you drain a target that's below 20% health, the damage is amplified by 100%. Together with the Malefic Wrath legendary, whenever you use Malefic Rapture, we buff the Drained Soul damage by 35% for 10 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. As long as you don't need to move too much, your Drained Soul will already give you free Malefic Raptures thanks to the 4-piece tier set of Affliction Warlock. Drained Soul also gets buffed with the Conduit of Withering Bolt, which increases its damage on the target for every dot that's currently active. So when you're talenting yourself, you're trying to apply as many damage over time effects as possible. And because of the double Legos in patch 9.2, if we play the Necrolord Covenant, we get access to Decimating Bolt. The weaker the enemy, the harder Decimating Bolt hits. When Decimating Bolt connects, it uses the same execute element and applies it also towards Drained Soul. And with the Necrolord Covenant, you're buffing that damage of Drained Soul to be 100% crit and does 50% more crit damage. On a training dummy under the perfect conditions, I've been able to get roughly over 130,000 damage, all as a critical strike, from a single channel of a Drained Soul. Execute damage ends up being extremely valuable during raiding progression, especially if it's a long, drawn-out boss fight and the boss just lives forever in the execute phase. Taking a look at some of the logs, Affliction Warlock damage is actually quite high in the boss's last 20% of their health. And the damage they put out is quite meaningful. So it's interesting to see just how many overlap and buffs they can get in patch 9.2. And I wonder if that'll become a sore spot in the future for Blizzard to nerf at a later build. I had so many of you guys hit me up over time asking me which is the easiest healer to play in World of Warcraft right now. And for patch 9.2, it just might be the Mistweaver Monk. There's a good chance you've never done a dungeon with a Mistweaver, or never done a raid with a Mistweaver, or seen a Mistweaver in arena. Trust me, they're really not bad, but they're just not quite as shiny and popular as Disc Priests and Restless Shamans and Holy Paladins until maybe 9.2. Already, Mistweaver Monks are able to dominate some of the logs out there. If you're looking for a class with amazing throughput, they're a one-stop shop, especially when they play the Venthyr Covenant. Using the Venthyr Lego, they spawn these Shadow Monks that do healing for you. And I do really mean that they are a majority of your healing output for the entirety of the raid fight, leaving Monk with plenty of free time to just get in melee and punch the boss a couple of times. Hell, the whole spec encourages you to get in melee and just hit the boss instead of healing allies. If you run Chi-Chi, the Red Crane from your talent choices, he'll just heal you and your party while you do more damage to the boss. And since we're playing a very punchy melee build, Ancient Teachings of the Monastery is a must, which lets you, after using Essence Font, Tiger Palms, Blackout Kicks, and Rising Sun Kick, will heal a nearby ally. Normally, when nobody needs healing, monks are up in the melee, punching the boss, kicking it, until someone is in trouble. It's kind of like what you do in your downtime, but with this set of Legos, and hopefully with a better tier set in the future, you could have your downtime as your main healing rotation, really embracing that Fist Weaver playstyle. The final build on this list will be Frost Mages who spam Frozen Orbs as a Necrolord. This is a very AoE focused build, but so far on PTR it has been incredibly strong. For this build, you want a talent for instant cast blizzards after casting Frozen Orb. We do this for cooldown reduction so we can get more orbs out as quickly as possible. During that downtime, you'll be spamming Frostbolts while embracing the Necrolord Deathborn Mage form. While as a Skelly Mage, your Frostbolts will cleave to 2 nearby targets. When we use the legendary of Cold Front, casting 30 Frostbolts calls down a Frozen Orb in front of us, which gives more AoE damage for the big trash bag that we just pulled. And you'll get them very quickly since you have all that Frostbolt cleave. While inside of Deathborn, not only do your Frostbolts cleave, but you also do 15% more spell damage. With the Necrolord Mage Covenant legendary, Frostbolts have a chance to extend duration of Deathborn, which gives you more cleave for a longer amount of time, and every single enemy that you hit with a Frostbolt causes Deathborn spell damage to be increased by 1% per frostbolt hit. This way, you're able to ramp up your frostbolts and ramp up the deathborn damage to go from 15% spell power increase up to 100% spell power increase, all while dropping massive amounts of frozen orbs that are continuously ramping up in damage over and over at a multitude of foes. Depending on how many mobs the tank pulls, your Frostmage can get at least 100k DPS consistently for a long amount of time. This is where you hope and pray that your tank has enough damage and aggro to hold the attention of all these mobs that you're blasting away with frozen winds. And that's going to be my video on some of the cheesiest, silliest, or potentially the strongest builds of patch 9.2 before any of these double legendary combinations for various classes get nerfed in a future update. I played one of every class. I was able to get the Mage Tower on every single spec in the game, and I did my very best to look through as many combinations as I could, as thoroughly as I can, but there's like 36 specs in the game. There's a good chance that I might have missed one or two. If you guys know some of those builds that I might have missed that I should check out in the future, let me know in the comments below. I would love to try them. What are some of the builds that you recommend me to try for PvP as well? I do want to take a look at some of the strongest bursts available for PvP also. But otherwise, thank you so much guys for watching this video. I do hope you enjoyed. If you find this video entertaining or informative, give it a thumbs up. I would very much appreciate it. Let me know in the comments about the builds that we talked about earlier, or which of these builds do you think are definitely gonna get nerfed going for patch 9.2, or which builds are you hoping stick around for the next update. Thank you all so much for watching. I do hope you guys enjoyed. Channel Discord, as always, is in the description of every single video. You guys should join our Discord to join our community. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see all of you in the next one.